Hey everyone, this is Nikachu, Merfolk Master. I'm here with my brother, and we are still looking at all the awesome new spoilers coming out of Theros Beyond Death. Oh, and we have something pretty damn unique for you today. We have Wavebreak Hippocamp. Now this card is just awesome. This is a really, really good card. Wavebreak Hippocamp at a blue and 2 generic is a 2/2 horsefish. I could call it a lot of different horse things. But anyway, whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. I think this ability is really, really strong. And the real question is, how do you break this card? Because you can very easily end up just drawing 2 cards a turn with this card. If you build your deck around Flash, maybe this is the one card to really help push really hard into a Leyline of Anticipation deck. You play with Leyline, make your whole deck instant speed. If you have multiple Wavebreak Hippocamps in play, you're drawing so many cards a turn. So many cards. The upside to this is enormous. Drawing 2 cards a turn, especially in the form of creatures. So if you build your deck around just Flash stuff like Brazen Borrower and I'm lost for Flash creatures. Merfolk Trickster, Harbinger of the Tides, Swift Warden, Collected Company, Brineborn Cutthroat. Maybe this will even be played in control decks, where they'll just play this thing, play Opt on your turn, draw a card, why not, and then trade with something. Like, it will double the cards that you draw. You just draw free cards every single turn. Even if it is just 1 card, who cares? Like, how do you beat a deck that plays, removal spells on your turn, for example, when they have this thing out? Now, the downside, it's got a weak body, and again, 3 mana, that's a lot of mana, and especially in Modern or Pioneer, you need to be able to have, at 3 mana, you better be doing something serious, because your opponent's already doing something serious. They might already be taking over the game, and you don't have time to play the stupid 2/2 creature, hope that it lives by your next turn. So this may not be the thing that you want to be playing. But you know what? Even at 3 mana, maybe it's just not something you do on turn 3. You try to stabilize the board, everyone trades resources, then you get to a point where both players are very low on resources, but you got 5 mana up, you play your Wavebreak Hippocamp, and then you pass the turn, and now you start drawing cards. And if your opponent has no answer to this particular spell, it will completely spiral out of control. You'll just draw double the amount of cards than your opponent does, and it's not legendary. It's not even legendary. So if you have multiples of this thing out, then you draw multiple cards. You have 2 Wavebreak Hippocamps, okay. Play my Opt or Merfolk Trickster on your turn. I draw more cards than you. I draw an extra 2 cards a turn. And you will just bury your opponent in card advantage. It will be disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So, I still don't see this thing being played in Modern. It's just a bit too expensive for the effect. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It's unique. The problem is it's the creature type doesn't work with anything. It's a horsefish. That's horse shit.
You said it.
Basically, it's not a merfolk. It's not a fairy. It's not a human. It's not a spirit.
They don't fuck with other creature types like they do with merfolk, do they?
What do you mean?
Like goblins, they don't get something that's supposed to be sort of like a goblin, but it's not. They're making all these things that are like something fish.
Oh yeah. I get what you're saying. Well, goblins don't have any other nickname than to be a goblin. Creature type, ugly goblin.
Yeah, sure.
At least Merfolk can be called a fish. But anyway, so we have this horse fish. Horse tribal doesn't need this. Is there a fish tribal? Are we going to start seeing Gurmag Angler and that other card that we reviewed earlier? What was it called? Something starfish? Well, whatever.
Oh, the stingfish.
Yeah, the stingfish. I don't know, maybe Fish Tribal is on the way, where there can be some good synergy, but my point is, it's not easy to just slot this thing in and try to get synergy with your creatures. It's like, you're just playing this so that you have, some good utility with your other spells. But I could totally see this in some sort of blue-green deck, playing with Collected Company, end of turn Collected Company this thing into play, and then, do something on your turn and then pass, and then you start drawing more cards. or maybe you collected company into 2 of these things at end of turn, and then play some spell on your opponent's turn to draw more cards. But yeah, it chains, which is good, and it draws millions of cards. I'd be very excited to see what could show up with this card in existence, especially in Pioneer. Like, there's a lot of good blue cards. I mean, we're starting to get to a point where there's tons of playables in a mono blue flash deck. We've got tons of playables there that will put the deck over the top, and Wavebreak Hippocamp is just another card in that direction. Again, you don't have to play it on turn 3, play it on turn 4, play it on turn 5 when you know you can pass the turn and get some value out of it. Because if you... Very likely this is not good on defense, it's not good on offense very early in the game, so you're just going... If your opponent, I don't know, if you're up against maybe Blue-Eye Control, turn 3 play this if you know they can't deal with it, and maybe try to accumulate some value there, but otherwise, it dies to everything. It really does. That's the only downside. So the downsides are the creature type, which is useless, has no synergy with anything in any format at the moment, and the size of this creature is terrible. Dies to Wild Slash, dies to Stomp, which are 2 very common removal spells right now in Pioneer. You're not going to beat any red deck with this. And it might be just weak against the red decks, but I think it has a lot of potential against the attrition-based decks. The attrition-based decks and the control decks, and maybe even the tempo decks, because this will probably go into some sort of tempo shell with Harbinger of the Tides, with Merfolk Trickster and friends. So Wavebreak Hippocamp, I think it's interesting. I think it's a pretty cool effect, and it's going to be interesting. It's probably going to be a huge fan in any commander deck. I mean, there's probably certainly a lot of commander decks that can really abuse this. I don't know how much 1 extra card a turn matters. They already got Rhystic Study.
When are you going to make that commander content?
It's not coming anytime soon, I can tell you that. And with that, we're going to end on my evaluation of Wavebreak Hippocamp coming out of Theros Beyond Death.